Mr Mayor, for that update on the night tube. I was 15 when a friend and I interrupted a black cab driver pushing a woman into the back of his vehicle and climbing on top of her in an East London backstreet. And just a few years ago, had to throw on a hoodie at 3 a.m. when a taxi driver had locked my housemate in his car and wouldn't let her out until she showed him her vagina. I've witnessed, heard stories and experienced inappropriate sexual behaviour at night on London streets, in taxis, at bus stops, as sadly a lot of women in our city have. And while most bus journeys are uneventful and most taxi drivers are lovely and professional, it's easy to see why many women and girls want a better lit transport option at night. And the night tube provides not only that safe haven as a route home, but a safe haven through the tubes, as well as for shift workers and other vulnerable groups. So I welcome your announcement to open two lines, but over 125,000 Londoners have signed a petition asking you to reopen the night tube in its entirety. 2 out of 5 lines isn't good enough, Mr Mayor. Please, can we open all 5 tubes this year?
Well, firstly, Chair, can I through you thank the member for her bravery in talking publicly about the experiences many women and girls in our city have experienced. And I think people of my sex and gender need to listen more to the experiences of women and girls. In relation to the night tube, the reason why, there are a number of reasons why it had to be paused during the pandemic. The practical reason was because the operators and staff were used elsewhere. And they've been backfilling many of the positions in the daytime, ostensibly because of staff being off because of the having the virus or self-isolating, or because they've been needed elsewhere for logistical reasons. There's been a delay in retraining new train operators because we've been required to keep social distance. You can't have more than one person in a cabin. We've now started refilling the shortfall in trained operators. And so as soon as we have enough trained operators, we will open the lines as soon as we can. We went with Victoria Line and Central Line first because they're the busiest lines for the reasons you suggest. People have more confidence using the busy lines. As soon as the operators are trained, they'll be up and running. There's no other reason at the moment except for the practical one. We also, of course, want to do a long-term financial deal with the government, and I hope you'd use your influence to persuade the government to do a long-term deal. The current deal expires on December the 11th. There is pressure on us to reduce services, bearing in mind that the reduction in fares coming in for the reasons you've said. We don't want to reduce services, we want to increase services, and any help you can give on that level is much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just briefly, the comprehensive spending review out this morning doesn't touch on the night tube. It's not mentioned within that in the transport section. I would suggest to you perhaps that needs to take further prominence so that we can push this issue and make sure getting the night tube up and running is at the top of everybody's agenda.